I'm sorry.
No, that's right. Go.
I'll let you go first.
You're great. Are you suggesting, and I quickly read this, and I think I overheard you say that should there be a face-to-face component, for instance? You said
Yes.
IDT. Should you have like some kind of a picnic, some kind of a orientation, some kind
Face-to-face could be virtual too, okay? I understand some people can't get here. And I know there's been, Dr. Foyle mentioned at my presentation, there has been discussions, not that people are neglecting the idea, but we come in on the last day, the day before graduation, and we have this really rich interaction, but it's the end product.
Right.
And I didn't recognize some of the people I've been having these bulletin board discussions with, because there's such a layer of distance between, you think you feel that with students, the students feel that with each other. So face-to-face, I would recommend. I mean, the research shows that hybrid is really effective. And so however you can interpret that, like in orientation, I've seen programs that meet when they first join a program, at the midpoint, and at the end. And they kind of mandate 2 of the 3.
One of the things that SLIM has done is we've created a cohort. So the first 4 semesters of a 6-semester program is all face-to-face, but then the last 2 semesters may be online or maybe continue to be face-to-face as the course determines. But we figure that they'll hear the voices, they'll know each other's, so if they go into the virtual classroom, they'll know who each other are.
Yeah,
very, very
that is kind of
well.
the point, right? Now, I totally benefited from doing my whole program online. I mean, I enjoyed that. I didn't have to pick up his laundry, so I wasn't on campus. The benefit of being a grad student online. But so the other thing is I don't think a lot of the things I'm talking about, you need to force things onto people.
Right.
You just need to offer maybe 2 solutions. Have a real thing. Just at least have a face-to-face component. All the people I knew at my last day, the day before I graduated, were people I met at face-to-face events. A tailgating he sponsored. We went to a T-Bones game. These are the people I just chat with. They ended up being the people I recognized in my classrooms down the road. That's kind of the whole point. So maybe it's an orientation session.
Some of the things you described, Dan, are really organization-wide. They go beyond individual faculty member teaching a class. So I guess I would ask a question of administrators here. It's my hope that all administrators would teach an online class once every year and a half. And I guess, let me ask administrators, and maybe that's happening now, because some of the things that Dan's talking about go beyond what I can do in my class. It's got to be university-wide. And in fact, Blackboard and all of this is still in its evolving. And for it to evolve in a way where ESU is going to be competitive, some of these things have to be part of the overall infrastructure. So I guess from an administrative point of view, are all administrators at some point, year and a half or so, is everybody teaching an online class?
What level do you?
Well,
like chairs,
chairs, associate deans, deans, right up through the president.
I guess once you get to dean and above, there's hardly any teaching to do that.
Well, the old argument used to be there wasn't time because of off-campus meetings.
Right.
That used to be, years ago when we raised that question. But that's no longer the case because we're doing it from all over the place. And so as far as you know, it's basically just chairs.
Well, I definitely don't speak for the president, but the reason he was here the other day was because he was going to be hopefully helping out the school business for the class that they needed.
And that's what I'm getting at. I'm not saying much more than every other year, but I think it would be really, really helpful to have all academic administrators and even other administrators that are involved with students along the lines of the things you're talking about, Dan, that the light bulbs would go on in all areas and be helpful to the faculty that are trying to do their thing. And you can't, again, the old argument I remember, and I know it was true. I'm away from campus, I'm at that meeting. But all the rest of us know that this is a 24/7 capability.
That's kind of what this event is, right? It's about hopefully getting people who maybe the light bulb hasn't gone off for them yet, but at least they'll come to this and they'll hear this, maybe this presentation, And maybe a light bulb. Maybe they'll you know, maybe they don't need to teach a Blackboard class, but maybe they go to a tailgate where they see a camera and a professor typing in saying, "Hey, we're eating hamburgers now." It can be, you know, you can invite them to stuff on campus and say, "Oh yeah," at all these. And that's just one approach. Instead of going to an administrator and saying, "You need to do this policy," you know, again, simple little things. Start having live events like this, and then make sure everybody who's not here today knows about it, and maybe there's just a camera to watch. They don't even need to interact. You know, we do that in IDT when we give our master's presentation. It does take planning and time and resources, but that's exactly why, like you said, it's not about an individual in the classroom. I'm not talking about that. We are all doing that already. This is about, you know, me talking enough, and hopefully somebody who's not in the classroom but has a little power to start saying, "Hey, in our department we could institute this policy," or at the university, you know, when we have graduation, maybe I'll be a little sensitive that I have online students who've never met before, and I'll group them together. You know, so stuff like that. Just anyway.
Yeah. So we came up with some examples, okay, and we're not picking on anybody because I wasn't real pleased when I saw some of the data he showed me, but I'm sharing it with everybody. But for example, I was chair of graduate council this year, and we had a report about GSAC had the Graduate Student Advisory Council had a picnic in fall, and I think 12 people showed up at Hammond Park. Well, there are 1,000 or so graduate students online at ESU, yet we still had a face-to-face picnic for this, and they're wondering why no one showed up. So that's just one example. Another example, he has a story about the yearbook.
Well, I get this email. You know, I get here. And again, this is an organizational issue. If somebody just had a conference with all the little groups that don't necessarily deal directly with students, and said, "Hey, we need to remember that we have online, we have e-students. We need to treat them like they're real students here," because kind of the assumption is that, hey, they're getting their degrees, but they're not real students. Okay, they're not real students. And you know, there's some of us who really want to be real students. So I got this email in my box that said, "Hey, attention everyone. Sunflower Staff's proud to announce the yearbook has arrived. Come pick them up in the Memorial Union bookstore and other various locations." I don't know where the Memorial Union, I do now. I learned the day I had to pick up my graduation gown. I don't know there. I guess I was supposed to walk around somewhere and see yearbooks and pick them up. But beyond the ha, I mean, literally, I started laughing when I got this. I go, here's a book that's about nostalgic memories from the past year, none of which apply to me. Okay, literally, I wouldn't know the buildings, I wouldn't know the people, I wouldn't know the clubs. The other thing, though, is kind of a serious point. It's a good example of an organizational approach we need to start taking. First off, the yearbook would have been way more beneficial to me than all the people who were actually here and lived it. Okay, if they had sent out a notice to everybody at the start of the year, all the online learners, and said, "Send your picture in." Okay, and then at the end of the year, there's a book, and I go, "Hey, these are the people who are in my class." It's just cool. It would have been way more helpful to me. Also, maybe it doesn't need to be a yearbook at the end. Maybe it needs to be a meat book. You know, where I went to undergraduate school, I went to a smaller school up in Maine, and we did get a meat book. Everybody was required to send their photo in before they ever arrived up in this little college in Maine, and you get there and you're like, you have a reference book for all the people you're going to meet. You meet them and you forget their name and you run back to the meat book. These are the kind of things I need. The other thing is I can still write articles, I can still write stories, take pictures. Why was I never asked to submit elements to this yearbook? I mean, I'm out here, I'm an ESU student, I'm submitting, I passed a year. It sounds silly, but this is the new world we live in. And you know, everything we do here, we can revisit and say, how can I pull that eLearn? I mean, it's easy stuff. You know, just one article by an online student would have made that yearbook, you know, more useful to at least one online student.